Perfect. Welcome, everybody. We're back yet again with, instead of picking on teams, we're going to pick on a person today.
Yeah.
Usually it's everybody's fault. Today it's someone's. Through no fault of their own. Founder dependency is our topic. And this is the role, this is the responsibility, this is the rights that come with leadership. But at some point, I think the whole idea of starting a business is to not be the business forever. And that's where we're going to start digging in today, because I'm sure we have some differing opinions about what a founder is, how to exit from a founder, and when is the right time. And I'm looking forward to kind of unpacking that and looking at the different places that it makes sense. Where should we start picking this one apart?
Let's say it varies according to the business, right? So the right person to add will be a different person depending on the nature of the business, and the right time to add them will change based on the nature of the business. So there's a couple different answers here.
I would say yes, but I think that the first answer starts with the founder. If we were to systematize this, the first thing that I would do is ask the founder to take everything that they do, and I want them to assign it to a grid, a matrix. And that matrix has 4 quadrants. The first quadrant is it's urgent, important, and only I can do it. The second quadrant is it is not urgent or important, and only I can do it. The third quadrant is it is urgent and important, but somebody else can do it. And the fourth quadrant is it is neither urgent nor important, and anyone can do it, right? So everything that is not in quadrant 1 the founder should not be doing. That's it. There you go. So get everything else off of your plate. And the rest of what we need to talk about is how do you actually facilitate getting that crap off of your plate? And the head jump that goes along with that.
Yeah, I have a third version, and it is not uniform across every different business, but thou shalt be the sales lead until thy hits 10 million. And that's because you need to know your customer. You need to understand what happens after they buy. You need to be the person that your account managers and customer success managers are answering to. And yes, both what Rob and Zach, you said, there are other people who can help find the customers and get them to you on your way there. But in the customer journey, right, lead conversion, sales, onboarding, and fulfillment, that's the middle. And you got to stay the fulcrum and stay in touch with your customers to at least that line.
Well, and notice what you're talking about here, Jacob, because what you're saying is other people can do fulfillment, other people can do billing, other people can do finding, but until you hit 10 million, you've really got to be the primary person selling the services, right? So that would go in that quadrant 1. It's what is urgent, important, that only you can do. And then you're building a system that does everything else until you get to a place where even that you can pass off, because it moves from quadrant 1 into quadrant 2, which is it's urgent and important, but someone else can do it.
And I'd go one further and say the reason they can do it is because you've spent all that time knowing your customer.
Well, exactly, right? And so I think that, again, that goes to that quadrant 1 where it's like knowing the customer. That's, as the founder of the company, as the visionary, that's your job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we get too far past it, what you just unpacked for those listening at home, Zach, is It's called an Eisenhower matrix, and it's
with the
used
twist.
it's an embellished version, right? Because it doesn't normally include the I can do it or someone else can do it. So I like the embellishment. And if you're going to Google that after the fact, Google Eisenhower matrix, useful for time management, as well as what we're talking about today. So the other thing that comes to mind, once you figure out those tasks, sometimes when I talk to founders about this kind of decision, what work that you do brings you joy,
Yes,
is critical, and you're the best at, right? So it's a little bit more complexity, but I want them to stay proportional to their time available, more focused on the things that they can do the greatest good in for the business. And that has to do with being good at it, being passionate about it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, then you need the other bucket. You might be good at it, but it's lower value add, and it really doesn't bring any joy, right? It's the chore of your workday. Well,
yes.
if you can outsource the chore, outsource that first. If it's simpler, lower value, that typically means economically, it's also the right thing to outsource because that labor will be less expensive.
Doubling down on how expensive it can be, if it's critical and you procrastinate because you really don't like doing it, delegate immediately.
Immediately.
Well, and I agree with that. I think that there is a certain point, though, where you can't delegate and you still hate the job, right? And so I think that, you know, spelling that out is important, because it's like, there are some people who just hate hiring, but if you're a company that has maybe 3 or 4 people on it, like a very small team, guess what? If you're the founder, you're doing hiring. You may hate it, but you're doing it unless you're willing to pay. What's the going rate of a headhunter right now, Rob? Excuse me, a recruiter. I was told that they prefer to be called recruiters now. What's the going rate? Isn't it like 10, 15% of their annual salary?
Up to 25%, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you want to hire a recruiter to do that, that's fine. But again, you're still making the final decision. And so, like, there are still things that you're going to have to do that you just hate doing. And that's kind of the burden of being a leader, right? It's kind of the burden of being a leader, is having to do those things and have the self-discipline to get the things done for the betterment of everybody else, recognizing that you will be benefited in the long run. I was having a conversation about this with my son last night, actually. And we were talking about this idea of delayed gratification. And he was talking about he wanted to go and buy some food. And I was like, well, how much money do you have in your account? And he was like, well, I don't have any. And I said, why? And he said, well, because I really wanted to do the Nerf Wars karate camp. And so I owe you and mom, and I have to pay you and mom back. And I said, okay, so what you need to learn is the difference between what you want now and the cost of what you want now for what you want in the long term. And that's the burden of being a leader.
Yes. Making decisions first and difficult decisions second. You can work in that order. There's a few different things that you can apply to the matrix that you brought up about it and how you can hand off certain decisions, but I do agree that there are some that you won't give up for as long as you possibly can. If your goal is to go into, like, from startup through scale up to grow up, there's that line that you cross where you don't make those decisions anymore because the public does, because you're answering to shareholders. But you don't get there without a certain commitment to leadership and being the one responsible and having it goes through me or us, right? As you scale. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a few, depending on what school of thought you go to, they call them break points, they call them inflection points. Hiring your first one is one of those inflection points. I was talking with somebody who owns a custom blinds business the other day. Solopreneur, does everything himself.
Yeah.
And he says, Rob, how can I scale? I've been stuck at $340,000 of revenue annually for years. I'm just stuck because it's just me. I'm working 60 hours a week. I do the sale, I do the ordering, I do the installation, I do the customer service, the email, everything. And I walked him through just what we're talking about, Eisenhower matrix, bucketing, right? Like, what's the easiest work you could give away that you could train someone to do, where they could rep your brand solidly, right? Give them a polo shirt and some shoe covers, talk to them about dress code, put a magnet on their truck. It's an installer. Hire an installer first. And then you will have more time to do what you're really good and passionate about, which is sales and design, right? You replace that time in the long run with that other task, and your revenue will go up. And it will more than cover the cost of that installer. Even better, if you hire somebody who's handy, you won't have to do a heck of a lot of training. Your training will be about your particular process tech and customer service standards, not about how to use a screwdriver and a drill. So you can get somebody technically proficient who doesn't want to work full time, might not even need insurance as you grow, right? You need like a part-time handy person. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's blinds.
I also would say out of all those steps you listed, about 6 of them can be automated easily.
Right.
So easily. Like, just go into your Gmail and create 5 template emails. Like pre-CRM stuff.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and that that's the other part of this is automating what you can, right? Because if it's something that needs to be done, then let's automate what we can to make sure that it's as painless as possible.
Yeah.
I would add to that, just in case it wasn't heard the first time you mentioned the matrix, Zach, because someone else can also be a machine.
Yes.
Don't forget that. There are certain things where a machine is good enough for someone else. If you don't know what that is, walk past a 7-Eleven and then go to your local community center and notice the vending machines on your way into the pool of the gym. They figured out the someone else part.
That's right.
There's a human dimension to this too that I think gets missed by many founders. And that's just the scale of human capability as you grow takes us to another inflection point. Depending on the particular person, it's somewhere between 8 and 12 people. You just simply lose the ability to be current and effectively lead more than that number of people. You can't.
Absolutely.
It demands more than 100% of your time. And to the extent that you try to do that, you end up neglecting the balance of your responsibilities, resulting in stunting of your growth of the business. So at that point, somewhere between 8 and 12, is where you make the decision to add that first really well-aligned, trusted, empowered person to run
Yes.
some big chunk of your business. You're going to run sales. You're going to run the whole back office, procurement, bookkeep, whatever. It depends on your business who that is. That's a high trust hire. Maybe it's equity, right? Maybe you let them buy in. But that one is what allows you to go from 8 to 12 to more like 24, 30 and up, right? It's a big force multiplier. It's got to be the right person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is one of those things that realistically you can use AI as a force multiplier as well, because there's a lot that AI can do. And so having the right person come in to do that, right, that high trust person, but also making sure that they recognize and are aware. Now, your job is going to be to automate as much of this through artificial intelligence as possible without losing the human connection. Because that is actually something that I'm starting to hear whispers of in the sales and marketing world, is a lot of people are really, really missing that human connection. Particularly, and this is the thing that's been interesting to me, it's particularly in the sales and marketing materials that a lot of people are missing the human touch that came from graphic designers. It's very, very easy now to drive around and just see that was done by AI, that was done by AI, that was done by AI. And you just know, because there's a certain fingerprint to it. There's a color palette. There is a look to it.
6 fingers on a hand. And
well, it's not even that anymore. Well, it's not. Here's the thing: is that it's not even that anymore. You look at these videos online, and it looks almost photorealistic, but it's something about the texture, something about the coloring. Like AI uses a very specific color palette. It uses a very specific font type. It uses, and you can just kind of see it as you look at things. There's a sort of richness to the hue that it really likes that human designers don't use.
So uniformity, right?
Like, yes.
Uniformity, perfection. Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. To jump on the AI bandwagon for a second, there's something it is incredibly good at, and that is helping you get every SOP from 0 to maybe 75%.
Yes.
Right? And now they do need to be read through, tested, broken, reworked, and probably resequenced is what we see a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
Like step 3 should actually be 5, but damn, it was fast to get from 0 to 75%.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'd consider a super important element, because you will fall to the level of your SOPs. As you try to scale, as you try to delegate, as you try to empower people, and to hammer this, try about 15 times a week in conversations, also to the tools you are buying, you will fall to the level of your SOP, because that should be part of the criteria and decision-making process of, should I even subscribe to X or bother setting Y up?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they are once bitten, twice shy too, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I tried to implement a blobbity blob, and they sold me a blankety blank, and it cost me X $100,000, and I'm not doing that shit again. I don't need a CRM. Whoa. I was with you until that very last sentence.
But it does come from the hurt. I had a consult about a year ago, really nice, smart guy, new leader at the organization. But CRM, yes, 50 grand in sunk costs, doesn't do what we want to. Out of our 8 salespeople, 3 won't log in because they're pen and paper folks anyway.
Right.
Not the right spend.
Right.
Maybe, but I kind of blame that on the leadership as well.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
a lot of these implementations are not the fault of the technology. It's the fault of the person who's scoping out the problem and hasn't done a thorough enough job actually scoping out the problem and determining what the technology needs to do, or B, the leader isn't requiring and enforcing the use of the technology. When I first started using a CRM, I didn't like it, but now I love them. They're great. They are so useful, but it takes time to help people get used to that. And people uniformly hate change. You have those weird sadists that say, "Oh, I love change." That's not true. That's not true. They hate it. They just want to be contrarian.
It's not in our nature. Yeah, that's very wise, and absolutely, I'd say I'm guilty of it too. Until I met that guy, we are a CRM team. I love CRMs. I do think they solve a lot of problems, and it's only been a year that I'd ask now, how many people do you think won't use this? Because you're right, like it is the decision-making process and the scoping process that should have uncovered the fact that, again, three people in this particular case wouldn't touch it, didn't want to touch it, and won't.
Yeah. Well, and this is on the founder or whoever is making that decision. At the end of the day, the buck stops with the founder. But the biggest thing is I think that a lot of these guys, I'm gonna wax philosophical here. They don't memento mori, which is a Stoic term, which just means think about your own death. And it sounds macabre, but what I mean is, when I see an old man shuffling in the gym, I don't think, hey, it's cool that there's an old man at the gym. I think I'm going to be him someday. That's what I think. That's what it means to be memento mori. It means think someday my career in this company will end. What do I need to do to make sure that it's a smooth transition? Because a lot of these founders, they really care about their employees, but they are so there are about 10 million businesses that need to be sold by 2035, or they're just going to go out of business. Most of them are in the blue collar space. And what they're finding is that there's a succession crisis with these businesses. The kids don't want them. The employees don't make enough to acquire them or don't want them, lack the skills to manage and own and operate these companies. And so realistically, there's a big opportunity for private equity to get involved here. The issue is that a lot of these businesses are not built to be sold.
That's right.
They're built and they rely on the founder. And so this is where that memento mori come in full circle. I promised you guys I would come in full circle. This is where that memento mori comes in, because you have to think about, my career with this company is going to end. My time with this company is going to end. What is that going to look like? If I really care about my employees, I probably want them to still have a job even after I leave. So I need to build this company so that it doesn't require me to run. That's going back to your gentleman that you were talking to, Rob. Like, what do I need to do? If I want to scale this company, what do I need to do to build this so it doesn't require me to run? That's how you scale a company. But there's a bunch of head junk that gets in the way that says, I have to be the only one to do this.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, because we're working with some companies in that space now, one of the biggest reasons for procrastination of being late to bring these businesses to market is caring about their people, which, as you brought up, is at odds in how poorly designed and structured the processes are for those people, so that somebody can carry on and keep them employed.
Right.
Yeah, it's very contrarian. to what the whole like rationale behind it is.
It is. And I understand why they do it, because they live in a survival mode. Like if you ever go on the job with these guys, like Rob, I think you were talking about this before the call, like why doesn't the founder of HVAC company, so and so, ever have time to meet with me?
Right.
Well, it's because he's actually on truck 13. He's out actually running jobs. And it's like, if the company needs you to run jobs, you've got a big problem on your hands that you need to resolve.
Let's pull on this thread, right? He's 67, presently 67.
Yeah.
His wife runs the back office.
Yes.
Right? This is not atypical. This is very, very normal.
Yes.
And he bought the business only last year.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
I said, we need to get you on a 3 to 5 year retirement plan. We got to get this puppy humming. Got to get you operationally sound. Got to get your accounting and finance. Like you got to get it run like a top. We got to start thinking about what our exit plan is now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We need to build to some destination. And you still have your founder hat on. You're going out in truck 13. And I'm asking you, like, how much inventory outages you have. And you're like, I don't know. She does that.
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't have your CEO hat on, man. If you don't know what your inventory turns are and what your cash flow is, you're a great HVAC person. I need you to take off the tool belt and put on the CEO hat, or you're not going to be able to sell this thing, because no one's going to pay what you want for it if you're the guy in the 13th truck. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah.
That
is so incredibly common. And I had the exact same conversation myself last Wednesday, right? Like 4 solid founders, really good company, 22-year run, I think, so far. Stable, but exactly that. Everybody there is making their consistent, above living salary. That's clean. No idea how they're going to get their multiples on an exit.
Right. No idea.
No idea. Fortunately, in the call, one of the 2 partners that was there was the data guy, so we were able to really kind of feed off each other and talk about the numbers. And the math was there enough to make the conversation really clear and relevant. But the how, next call is scheduled, but that's still a mystery to them. And that's the thing that concerns me the most, because it's been done.
Right.
Right? This is not alchemy and still trying to figure out how to turn lead into gold. It has been done. There's maps.
There's only a few options, and we got to go through them and pros and cons and figure out what's possible and get it done.
Well, this is why I say it's the head junk stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because most of the time what's getting in the way is that, so who was it? Werner Erhard, who said, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so for these guys, it's this almost, and this has been my experience. You guys may have experienced something different, but my experience has been that for these guys, it's almost this like unwillingness to consider that they don't know what they don't know, because they've had to know everything for the last 20 years,
Right.
And so it's like, what do you mean I don't know? What are you talking about? Well, it's like, well, you haven't considered this, this, and this. Well, I built this business from the ground up 20 years ago, and we've grown it to this size, and I didn't need any of that to get it to this big. And it's like, yeah, but now you can't do anything with it because it's all reliant on you. This is what I'm talking about, is that you are getting in your own way, and you're telling yourself this story that you're the only person that can run this business, You're the only person that can do these certain jobs. That's why doing that matrix that we referenced at the beginning is so important, right there, and be brutal and take stock of like, what is it that I actually have to do? It's sign checks. In some instances, it might just be, I just have to sign checks.
Right.
That's it. Right. And it's like, okay, if that's all you have to do, well, then that's great. But now we have to look at how do we systematize everything else, to your point about the SOPs. And so it's like, if I'm going through this matrix and I'm looking at it, well, then I've got hopefully 80% of the work that I do is in that first quadrant and 20% is everywhere else, right? Yeah. That's probably not going to be the case. I'm just going to tell everybody right now, don't expect that to be the case. Mm-hmm. And you're going to want to do it with your team, because your team is going to push back on you when you say, oh, well, I do this. And they're going to say, well, actually, I could do that, but you won't let me. Right. And so that's when all of a sudden the scales fall off of your eyes and you start to realize, oh, geez, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am the one getting in my own way. And then all of a sudden, that's when you can start to systematize, because you're starting to see, oh, there's this thing, it's in quadrant 2. It's not urgent or important, but I'm the only one that can do it. Okay, that's got to stick with me until we find somebody else who has the expertise or the ownership, right, that can do that. But if it's in quadrant 3, which is it's urgent and important, but anyone else could do it, well, then, okay, we need to systematize that. We need to pass that off to somebody else. And if it's in quadrant 4, it's neither urgent nor important and anyone else can do it, then get rid of it. No one in your company should be doing that.
Don't waste your time.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And the delegation matrix is a great place to start. And then you want to continuously reapply it. It's something we touched but didn't really dig into is, again, there's that cognitive load about the direct reports, right? You brought up that number, Rob, 8 to 12. Right. And that's why organizations have hierarchies.
Yep.
Right? Is because that's really just as much as the human brain can handle in terms of I'm responsible for this many, and I'm responsible for this many, and I'm responsible for this many. And to repeat it again, it's the SOPs and the process work and the systems thinking that allows you to build that structure that can be maintained so that it's repeatable.
Yeah. And this is all stuff that people can learn just by observing what they do in corporate America. And corporate America gets a bum rap when it comes to stuff like this, to be quite honest, right? Like, there are a lot of people on Main Street who are pissed off at corporate America, but it's like, they're big for a reason. Like, they're able to do what they do for a reason. They've figured out a system. And if you want to grow, if you want to be able to sell your business, you've got to figure this out. And part of it is just being willing to let go of, well, I don't want to be like them, right? That's that head junk that's getting in your way.
Mm-hmm. I tell them you don't have to be like them. But rather than be a $3 million business, wouldn't you rather be a $9 million business? Right? That's the delta we're talking about. If we fix all the things that need fixing, and right. Sure. And we could structure how that 9 million happens in a few different ways. But right now, all you can sell your business for, assets and customer lists and a little bit of cash flow. You got $3 million. That's all you got.
Yeah.
So tell me about your retirement dream. Let's plot a course to get you there, right? Like that's Absolutely. The goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. 67. Yeah. Bought it at 66. What?
Yeah. I mean, if you have your systems in place and you know what you're doing, you can be out in 2 years at a multiple.
Sure.
It is done.
That's what private equity does, right? Like, again, private equity gets a bum rap for stuff like this, and deservedly so, right? Like when you have corporate raiders that come in and they just kind of try and destroy this company by we're slashing costs across the board and we're letting go of employees to cut costs and make do. Like that's, you deserve to get a bad reputation for that stuff. But with private equity, the good ones, they come in and they say, okay, we're going to systematize this. We're bringing in a CRM. In the HVAC, we're bringing in Service Titan. Mm-hmm. You're going to use Service Titan, right? No more of this paper invoicing stuff. Everyone's going to have an iPad, and you're going to have to learn how to invoice over the iPad, right? Like, we're going to systematize this, and you're going to pull yourself out of the organization because, frankly, private equity has 10 of those companies that they're trying to run all at the same time. And they have someone at the top who is someone who could be the CFO of a Fortune 500 company, but is making good money as the CFO of 10 smaller companies. And it's, again, 8 to 12 reports. Those 10 companies have their CFOs that answer to the major CFO.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's providing directives downstream, but he's saying, I only have this much information that I can absorb. And so this is what I need. I need this systematized out so that I can get what I need. But again, it's the head junk that's getting in the way of doing all of this. Well, I don't need to systematize. Okay, then you're going to be stuck at $3 million.
That's what you're admitting to yourself, right? Okay.
60 hours a week.
Right. And you're going to be truck 13 until you die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how does
you're
this
be the 80-year-old man who's reaching his elbows deep into poop?
or you're the let's take another flavor of this. You're the 80-year-old man who has dementia now and can't really run the business, but you still own the business. And your kids work in the business. So you go to work every day. And they try to figure out how to make you not make a mistake. So you've actually become a burden on the business because you stayed too long, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now you can't find
Wouldn't you much rather be? Yeah. And it absolutely. Wouldn't you much rather take the next 13 years of your life and go on cruises and go visit grandkids and eat chicken fried steak at the diner every day because that's what you love to do? Like,
exactly.
All it takes is a little bit of work and getting out of your own way,
right?
Like like you said, Jacob, the playbook is there. There is no secret password. There's no secret handshake. This isn't something that you're going to learn the secrets of the Freemasons. Like, there's no secret scaling society here. The way is very clear. You just have to get out of your own way and follow the program. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Truly.
So if you need this kind of help, right? If you listen to this and you're like, holy crap, I need this kind of help. Reach out to any of the three of us, right? Like, there are respectable, intelligent people out there who've worked in business, who understand industry, who, we're talking about all the things that all these people need today. They don't have to trust some like smarmy 28-year-old on Facebook, right? You don't have to, right? We can help. And you don't have to, through clouded lenses, watch your business die in front of you while you keep going to work, right? That's not what you deserve. It's not what you want for your family. Let's take that $3 million and get them a $9 million, right? And get you on that dang cruise, right? Chicken fried steak on Royal Caribbean, go get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whatever that dream is, right? The airplane, the yacht, whatever. Who cares, right? The beach.
Fishing.
Whatever.
Fishing every day.
Shooting pheasants in South Dakota. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
right? You've earned the right to your dream. You worked too damn hard to miss out on it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna agree with that, but this is the parting shot that I'm gonna give. They have started to earn their dream. They haven't fully earned their dream until they have crossed the chasm and systematized their way out of the business. That's how you earn the dream.
Nice. Nice.
Very good. Thank you, guys. And thank you for those of us who stuck with this. And yeah, let's help you get off the hamster wheel.
Yes, that's exactly right.